Greece is a place I could return to every year, especially the Ionian island of Kefalonia. So when we arrived in Lourdata, a little village in the southern part of the island, we went to eat. The lovely owner of the restaurant brought us some complimentary soup, which was such a warming way to start the meal. We then ordered a Greek salad locally known as horiatiki, as well as tzatziki and melitza salata, a silky aubergine dip. It naturally came with the fluffiest pitters too. One dish on the menu was called surprise feta, and it was incredible. This was then followed by keftedes, aka courgette fritters, sauteed mushrooms, shrimp saganaki, and creamy mussels. We polished everything off with a big slab of tiramisu made by the owner and her daughter. The hilltop restaurant was called Ionian View, and it was the perfect way to start our holiday. I know most people love a lion, but I find something really special in getting up early on holiday and enjoying the peace and quiet while everyone else is asleep. We had some lemon and orange trees in the garden of the Airbnb, and they were so zesty and citrusy. It was amazing. I then made myself a lovely iced coffee. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I don't drink caffeine that much. Call me weak, but I love my coffees with lots of milk and sugar. But what's even better is that we found some dulce de leche, so I whacked a teaspoon of that in for a bit of sweetness, and it was honestly so good. It's inspired by Vietnamese coffee, and it's the best. I also then prepared some fresh fruit, Greek yogurt and local honey, which I enjoyed sitting by the pool in the sun. The weather later on wasn't fantastic, so we headed to Argostoli to stock up on fresh fruit, veg, meat and fish. We picked up the most adorable courgettes that still had their flowers, big juicy tomatoes and loads of fresh lettuce, beans and dill. It started to pour with rain, but we spotted 2 huge turtles who very kindly said hi. It honestly made our day. We then headed to the fish market and bought a couple of fish, prawns and calamari that looked super good, but we couldn't find the translation for the big fish. Next stop was a local bakery where we picked up some spanakopita, a Greek spinach pie. It actually wasn't the best I've ever had, sadly, but their baklava was mind-blowingly good. We then drove down the coast and to a local butcher's where we picked out some kebabs and pork chops. The meat and fish cost around €80, but the quality and taste, as you'll see later on this video, was unbelievable. A little afternoon snack of local honey on toast and some tzatziki flavoured crisps with a glass of wine was absolute bliss. It was time to make dinner, so we assembled a load of fresh vegetables, made a lovely tomato salad and prepared the anonymous fish. There's something really special about preparing dinner with your best friends in a hot country on a summer's day. We listened to lovely music, snacked on some bits and bobs and drank the local wine. The Airbnb had an area for a barbecue as well, which we took full advantage of. We bought some coal but didn't buy any lighter fluid, so spent around 30 minutes keeping it alight, or trying to keep it alight, but in the end we got it piping hot and began cooking our chunky aubergine slices and courgette halves, which we drizzled with olive oil and sprinkled with salt and pepper. To be completely honest with you, we had planned to cook the fish on the barbecue, but because the grill wasn't big enough, we decided to cook it in the oven and then transfer it over to the barbecue to just get that flavour at the end. So we cooked the pork ribs on the barbecue instead and then finished off the fish on there too. Oh my god, everything was so fresh and so delicious. We went to sleep with very happy bellies. On day 3, I made all the girlies breakfast. They each got a bowl of fruit with granola and yogurt and an iced coffee. Once again, we enjoyed our food by the poolside. What an absolutely gorgeous way to wake up. We then travelled up north to Assos, a quaint seaside town, but spotted Myriadrecipes beach on the way, one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen. Assos was adorable, so we stopped at a restaurant right on the seafront and treated ourselves to some lunch. We ordered a spread. We had chicken and pork gyros, another Greek salad, feta saganaki and freshly fried calamari. Everything was so tasty and the location couldn't have been more romantic. Once we'd walked around Assos, we spent a little bit of time down on Myriadrecipes beach, then headed back home, making sure we stopped at a bakery to buy a few snacks for the journey home. A lovely little lady owned the shop and she was so sweet. We ended up buying more than we intended to. The sunset was absolutely stunning and we enjoyed a lovely Aperol spritz with a custard pastry, crisps and olives. Oh, and one of the girls made some fried halloumi with honey and it was so incredibly delicious. Day 4 had arrived and a few of us went for a run down to the beach, followed by a tasty brunch comprising of croque madame and a chicken burger. My friend and I shared, and so we got the best of both worlds. We then headed back to the villa and cooked up the prawns and calamari for lunch. I started by frying some onion and garlic, then added in the prawns first because they take a little bit longer to cook, followed by the calamari. Now the key to cooking seafood is not overcooking it. I literally fried the prawns for a couple of minutes, added in the sliced calamari and fried it for a few more minutes. Drizzled with some fresh olive oil, sprinkled with salt and pepper, and that's it. I plated it up and we added a bit of fresh lemon juice. It was phenomenal. In the evening, we headed to a local restaurant called Lorraine's. You drive down to the seafront, then walk up a slight hill to get there. Lorraine has been running the restaurant for over 25 years and she has so much passion. She would describe the specials with her eyes shut and talk you through the whole cooking process. It was magical. We had fresh bread and garlic butter to start, then devoured a feta tomato rice dish, phyllo honey feta, which was like crunchy liquid gold, and the most gorgeous tzatziki. For mains, we ordered the classic moussaka, a Greek dish made with aubergine, mince, potato and a stunning bechamel topping. We also got pork stifado, a slow-cooked Greek stew. You could tell everything was made with so much love because it was all so incredibly delicious. I think my personal favourites were the crunchy phyllo feta dish and the moussaka. Oh, so good. The desserts I'm warning you were unbelievably good but huge. We ordered a milk custard tart and some baklava. Absolutely delicious. We also happened to be in Kefalonia during the Greek Orthodox Easter, so after dinner we headed to Central Argostoli to watch the celebrations. Everything was beautiful and it was such a heartwarming experience. In the early hours of the morning we drove to the highest point on Kefalonia, Mount Asos, to watch the sunrise, and boy oh boy, it did not disappoint. Once we got back from our morning adventures, I had tomato and hummus on toast, followed by our lunch, which pretty much comprised of the same thing but with the leftover fish we had on the barbecue the other night too. We also had some store-bought tzatziki, hummus and melitano salata, which were so yummy. For a bit of sweetness, we all had some ice cream and headed down to the beach for the afternoon. It was only a 15-minute walk and was a little bit of paradise. I love a shandy, and this Greek version was so lemony and so fresh. It was so nice. We cooked up the kebabs on the barbecue again and made an array of fresh salads. The kebabs were phenomenal, and the freshly fried halloumi with local honey once again hit the spot. It was a perfect way to celebrate our final evening in Kefalonia. In the morning, we said goodbye to our stunning Airbnb and headed to the airport. However, we naturally had to stop off for one last meal at a local cafe where I chose to order peinidi, a little pizza boat filled with cheese, tomato, bacon and egg. The girls ordered spanakopita and another milk and custard tart. Everything was so delicious, and even though it was pretty early, the cafe was packed, so it was obviously a popular spot to go to. We then continued on our journey to the airport and dropped off the car. Surprise, we couldn't leave the leftover kebab meat to go to waste, so we brought it as a snack on the plane. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and see you next time. Bye!